Okay, first he's going to start by removing and replacing a QFN chip. We were talking earlier, and one of the things is it's probably easier to replace a QFN chip than place one in the first place. The difficulty in putting one on in the first place is you have to either depend on the tinning on the board or put on solder paste, and then the amount is the tricky part. On a board like this, if he takes it off, but the chip is already tinned and the board is tinned, you don't need to apply any more solder. Okay, the temperature is 320 and the flow is 35%. Did he put flux on? Okay, he put flux on before he started to remove it.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little bit. He's heating it directly. It's about half a centimeter from it. Just lifts it right off. This one didn't have a heat sink in the middle. I don't know if you can see that. Right there, it's green and not silver. Or sorry, a center pad, usually used for sinking the heat away. Okay, now he's going to put it back on. He's preheating at the same temperature. First he did the board, and then he does the chip a little bit. You dip it in the flux.
Yeah.
So he also dipped it in the flux before putting it down.
Is this no clean flux?
Look, I don't know.
What? No, absolutely no. This is nothing lost, no clean flux. What?
Okay, he got it hot till the solder melted and it sort of floats on top. And he just taps and heats and taps.
Okay, that's done.
That's it.
Let's go then.
Okay, he's going to take off the SD card holder.
Reduce temperature.
He turns the temperature down to 280, also 35% flow. These are difficult because it's easy to scorch the plastic and warp the frame of the thing.
So was that you move it towards the top?
280. Move what?
Can the camera be moved to the... How about you move the pace to center it? Because if you're not standing up, you can't see.
Oh, no, move up a little bit. It's fine. Just move this.
Nope. Just move this. It's all good.
Okay. So it's here. So going in.
Yeah.
Some flux on.
A little bit of flux. On the corners where it attaches.
就是焊上去还是贴上去？取下来。是夹上去还是焊上去？那个是什么？啊？ You can see that it's actually coming off the edge.
Okay, the soldering is starting to turn shiny and silver, and it's starting to lift off. He heats the edges a little bit more where it's actually attached, the attachment points. He seems to heat that more than the pins in the middle. Those are bigger connections with more solder on them and more metal. He's not using any force. He says just hold it gently and pull, lift and pull away.
Okay, that is off.
So he's dipped it in the flux and just place it back on the board in the right place.
So it bent for some reason.
It bent?
Yeah.
It bent a little bit.
Yeah. So when it bent, remove the heat away from it.
Okay.
That's what you do.
Okay, it says when it bends, you remove the heat away from it. Does it settle down then?
Yeah, and then he back on. No, look, it's on the heat away again.
Okay.
But it's actually sinking now. So
Okay. So it started to bend from the heat, and he moved the heat away, and it kind of relaxed back flat.
it's a flux on.
More flux?
More flux.
Okay, you added more flux. It is. It generally is. That's my personal belief.
I use it to solve personal problems too. Personal problem with someone. That doesn't count as a ball joke.
然后那个说放那个送给客人，但是的程序。Yep.
And it was done?
That small one.
Hey, he got it back on.
And it's back on.
Okay, now he's going to take off one of those ribbon connectors, the tiny pitch ribbon connector that connects the screen to the front. They have really tiny, delicate pins. Yeah, this one right here. Really tiny, delicate pins. He'll take it off of this board and put it back on, and then he'll do the mating one that's on the plastic ribbon.
What's the temperature?
You see he's doing really fast. He's going back and forth.
Okay, he says to do it really, really fast. The temperature is at 280 still and 35% flow. He heats the edges just a little bit more. This also has supporting tabs in the edges. So there and there get a bit more heat than the middle. It's about half a centimeter from the board.
And there's no melting of the plastic at all?
Nope, there's no melting of the plastic. He says don't force it, he's just lifting. Okay, he says move it very, very fast.
And it's coming off. You can see
And he just lifts, no force, just lifting.
Woo! You know, like, why is everybody applauding?
Yes, he doesn't think it's special. Okay, so he's taking a bit of flux and he's refluxing all of the pads. First preheating the board. He started with more flux and now he's preheating the board.
Is he preheating the board or melting the pads on the solder?
It's just preheating the board. Yeah.
主板预热之后可以缩短焊接时间。
It will shorten the period for the chip to sit if you.
Okay, it makes it faster to solder if you preheat the board.
Yeah, because it will just sit right on it. Oh, too much flow, too high. 为什么会那样呢？
刚才还没有焊牢固，给送进来。
Okay. That happened because he just accidentally loosened his tweezer.
So
Don't loosen the
just
tweezer.
try not to let go of the thing. And he told us previously that he doesn't look at individual pins. He's not inspecting the pins. He's just melting all the solder and getting a feel for it and then taps it until it seats into place and looks aligned. But he doesn't check individual pins at all.
That's back on?
That's
and
back
all
on.
The other small components are still remain on the board.
Yeah. So does he, after he's done with that, then does he go over and inspect it for like any kind of bridges?
那你现在做完之后，你是不是每个链接那个金属条这样子去测试呢？
不用啊，
不用。
现在就要看着就要把它完全是焊接好。
Oh right, they told us. So look if you line it lines up.
Yeah. So he says hold it sideways and look and make sure everything's lined up. And
So yeah. Okay, and what else? We wanna see this one.
no, that's easy, I think. This one.
哦，这个把这个焊接上去。
Okay. Okay, we'll do that one next. Right now he's going to do the connector that's on the plastic ribbon cable from the screen in the phone. First he pulls off the little bit of, there's like a piece of electrical tape behind because it'll melt.
And he had this exact.
Very fast again. Still 280 and 35%.
That's a
There's a Captain cable thing.
You know if that is leaded solder on these connectors or on the whole phone cord?
Is it leaded solder? PB.
Oh. 这边是有拱的吗？这边是有拱。啊？有拱。 是有铅的吗？这是有铅焊接吗？
这个基板可能是有铅的。
Maybe, yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
因为它的温度280就可以把它拿下来。
Because the temperature to take this thing off is 280, so maybe it is lead.
Yeah.
So now he's gonna put it back on. Tell him that to test. You know how to test it. You can see if the
Okay, he's
leads line up.
putting flux on the edge of the pins. Sorry?
And how to line up the legs and
How do they line up the legs?
put on and look and see if the line.
Okay. This gets it on there vaguely in the right place before melting the solder, and it kind of, if all the legs pick up right, it'll pop into place. He's heating it really quickly
可以
again.
开小一点。
In this scenario, you can reduce the flow.
Okay, he says you can turn the flow down. I assume because the tape will melt.
18%.
He's at 18% right now.
Or we'll just blow off probably, right?
Yeah. It started to melt, and he's just tapping the side until it falls into place. It's done.
Done.
Okay.
So that's
And someone wanted to see the motor because there's lots of metal.
okay. 这个马达可以拿下来。
可以，马达吹的要久一点。
Okay, so he said it would take a while to.
Okay. He says he can do it, but it'll take a while to heat it up enough to pop it off.
Okay, in this case, you need to put something cover up the battery, the backup battery.
Oh, it's close to the backup battery, so he's covering it up with something metal to keep the heat away.
按键门死掉。
And then the keyboard
Wouldn't want to have an Akiba
plastic.
or a Paul.
Peel off the
Can we not
plastic
name
thing.
that after me?
Peel off the plastic thing.
Okay, he also took off the plastic keyboard that's underneath of the motor. That way it doesn't melt or smoke or anything. Oh, the battery is. You can see the battery is right there and the motor's there.
实际上，
So he's putting...
That's the shield.
Oh, it's somebody's used RF shield is going over the battery.
Just covering up. Like that? Yeah.
这样即使它爆炸也炸不着我。
Okay, so even if it explode, you won't touch it.
It's a blast shield.
这个温度就要高一点。
Higher temperature is about 320. Yes.
Okay, 320 and back to 40% flow.
Pressing down the shield on the battery. 40% flow.
Turn it up.
On two sides first.
预热。
我再教他一样。
He's putting a bit of flux in the corner where it attaches to the PCB.
Heat first and then flux. Oh.
Okay, he says heat first and then flux. He does that a lot. I notice it's a pattern. He'll heat the board and then put flux on. He'll heat a chip and then flux it.
Why fluxing for removal?
I mean, flux makes solder flow better. I use it on everything, but...
Better convection.
为什么要放冲下来，转东西下来？
助焊剂。
助焊剂对吧？
If you get with the right flux,
There you go.
any new is
So.
like awesome.
That didn't take a long time. Yeah, it's a bit smoky.
可以啊。
可以哈。
这个焊
You
焊
can still like solder perfectly same.
Okay, he says it's still usable. It's still replaceable. You see there's a 4-pad that it attaches to, and then the power's at the end.
Okay, a little plastic tip size.
Yeah.
Did you do anything to that RF shield to make it sit there?
No, he just put it there.
Okay, it's click back again.
First he's heating the board. Puts the motor in place.
And is this being captured on video?
Yeah. I hope. Yeah. think the solder's melted. He's just kind of holding it down. It's heavy on one end and falling over. Holds it until cool. I think that's it.
More flux.
Oh, put more flux on.
Kind of just melt it. More heat.
It's done.
It's done. 很标准吗？
不是很标准，但是能用。
Okay. So he said this is not good enough, but you can use it.
因为我害怕后备电池吹久了爆炸。
Okay. He's worried about the battery.
还要吹哪个？
And shield.
Okay, this is the demo. He's going to take the shield off, right? And then you have the shield frame underneath of it. He's going to pull the chip off without taking the RF shield frame off and without knocking any adjacent components off of the board.
你记得小明天不要碰掉啊。我一碰到别人。
But first he's putting the RF shield back on.
Right now. He's going to solder the shield on, soldering on.
Yeah.
So it'll take a while.
So the shield has to go back on first. It's going to take a bit.
He's heating up.
He's going around the edge where the shield attaches and preheating the board. Okay, so no extra solder. It's just going to use the solder that's already on the shield and the board. Okay, so he's going to take off the, is it QFN or a BGA chip?
BGA chip. 那是 BGA chip 哦。对吧？老师，这是 BGA 对吧？
So he put the shield on at 340, but he's taking the temperature down to 270. I think he's removing the potting. Is he taking the potting off?
Yeah, yeah. Now
Okay, so he's
yeah.
taking the temperature down to 270 to scrape up the potting around the chip.
I have one request, which is also I'd like to see him take off one of the chips underneath the frame.
That's what he's doing. He's going to take the whole. It's a bit exposed. There's a QFN on the side. We'll have him take that one out too. Oh,
He took a very, very tiny one out.
okay, that was kind of under the frame.
Oh, okay. I missed
And now he's going to put it back in. You can come up and take a closer look at where it is. It's about half under the frame.
Can I request, is it possible to make a recap of what the temperatures and the speed,
Yeah.
speed for various processors?
I think it's in the BGA reballing kit that Ian put together. Also a list of the temperatures and loadings. I think it's inside this kit.
So he pushed the chip in and preheated the board. He's got it all hot and he just keeps tapping and tapping and tapping. Yeah, there's a sheet with, to my best recollection, all of the temperatures and settings. And that's it. Okay, now he's got a panel of iPhone 5 PCBs that Bunny bought in the market. And he doesn't have the original CPU, but there's various other chips, right? Maybe memory or...
It's a baseband chip.
Yeah, the baseband chip. He's going to attach it, and he's going to pop it back off. And Bunny also has the stencil. So he's going to clean up the chip, reball it, and then put it back on again. Okay?
And then can you ride a unicycle around here?
While doing it, yes. And does anybody have a pen and paper? We could like properly write down the flow rates and temperatures as we go through it. Okay, the board is... Okay, he already fluxed the board. And the board doesn't have any tinning on it, so he's putting some solder down first.
Normal.
But this is only because it's
Yeah. So he put solder on with an iron, and now it's not. He's putting a card under it to help keep the heat from sinking away. So there's solder on it, done with an iron, and now he's heating it up with hot air and a soldering iron at the same time to tin all of the pads.
Is that the BGA?
Yeah, it's the BGA chip that he's doing. Okay, what's next? Okay, he got the he got the excess solder off and spread over all the pads evenly. Now he's taking one of the chips out of the bag. I'm going to put it on there. He used the hot air. He had the hot air over the pads, and at the same time used the soldering iron to smear it around, and then just kind of push the excess off to the side. I'm not sure. I'll tell you the next time he turns it. Now he's got the acetone and a Q-tip, and he's really scrubbing the pads to keep them clean. The same thing you do when you replace the chip. Okay, he's adding more solder to the
这
pads.
是脱稀，因为这个板是凉的，板是凉的话拖不动怎么办？拖不动
I don't think there
加
is. Yeah, I think so.
Fluxing is very, very significant when you're putting, because it's a new board,
再把风箱
flux a lot.
Okay, so it says it's a new board. The flux is really, really significant, and you should keep fluxing it a lot. He's putting more and more flux on and more layers of solder.
就是不用一次性放那么多，对吧？一层一层来，对吧？
因为你这个主板它不是那种模板，模板的话上面漆都焊好了。
Okay, he said that try not to put everything on one time. Just put on a layer by layer. It's
Okay.
better to
Okay.
recognize the.
It says don't try to put it on all at once. Put it on layer by layer by layer. The tinning that he's putting down, the layer of solder, since it's a virgin board.
So how does this board get, because it's never been manufactured, it's like a PCB that was taken from a factory and got to the market, like a 4-6 layer PCB or something?
I assume. More acetone scrubbing.
So he's flux solder, acetone, flux solder, acetone.
Yeah. Yeah, layering, layer and layer and layer and layer. Okay. Okay, it's time to put the chip on. Did he dip it in the flux?
放在松香里面吗？不用松香对吧？
对，现在预热要加。
No, he hasn't.
Preheat the board.
295.
40% flow. And now he's putting some flux.
Okay, he dipped the tweezers in the flux, the end of one tweezer, and after the board's heated, he puts it down and it kind of melts over the footprint. Yep. Now he's lining up the BGA chip on the preheated board, but he kind of floating on top of the flux.
But he's using the flux to hold it in place too.
Yeah.
现在用那个松香。
Okay. Now he's heating the outsides.
翘棉放上去。
About half a centimeter, 1 centimeter from the chip. Is it done?
Hold on. Checking, testing.
Okay, he thinks it's done. He's inspecting it from the side to see if it's uniform and even and level. He's not happy yet. It's not good. It's not flat.
He's hitting some more.
So that's how he checks. He checks to see if it's level.
Yep. He's like tapping on it just a little bit. Oh, you can see it now. It's floating up on top of the balls.
He's there now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
可能装偏了一台。
Jump in. So one row missing.
One ball missing.
Do again or do new one?
Yeah, reball it.
Or reball.
Yeah.
这是意思。
Okay, he's going to take the thing off, reball it, and then remount it.
那个链子上有点松香，是故意的吗？He got some flux. He melt the flux
On the edge?
On the edge, yeah.
Okay, to start taking it off, he got some flux and put it around the edge of the chip and melted it into the chip after he preheated it. We're still at 340%.
No.
What?
300. Oh, 40%.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, chip pops off.
You reball this.
Mm-hmm.
这个要重新直吸吗？
He's dragging a soldering iron back and forth across the pads. That cleans it up. He put flux around the edges of the chip before he took it off. And now he's dragging a soldering iron over to get the pads clean and shiny and remove excess solder. You know, he's using the soldering iron on the chip as well. Jen, the laptop. Yep. Yeah, they just hit it.
Oh, is it the cable? Oh.
There it is. Okay, so he used the soldering iron to remove excess solder, and he's using acetone to clean up the chip now. Did somebody just use their ball joke?
No.
Okay.
There's more balls on the chip and pixel balls.
I see.
Nope. Bunny still has his one ball joke.
Buddy still has his one ball joke? Okay.
他买这机电 CPU 是没有用的，没有资料，
你怎么知道？
有资料的必须是旧的，
旧的。
旧的不能是一套的。
Okay, now the reballing. The magic tissue goes down, chip on tissue to help from sinking all the heat away. And Bunny's provided the stencil.
Is that significantly thinner, that material, or the stencil?
It's
Not the standard stencil.
not as standard. So 这个不是标准的直吸网对吧？这是特殊的。
When it lines up, you can see, I don't know if you can see on the screen, but here we can see when it lines up, it becomes all shiny in the middle. So it goes from dull to shiny, and you can tell when it's lined up. Yep. You said earlier that's the best solder paste. Oh no, that was the day old stuff. Huh? Okay, so yeah, he's smearing the dried solder paste over the stencil. I've noticed watching the last couple of days, he holds the knife, the spatula, like very flat, very low angle, and he smears and rubs like you're polishing a car. Oh wow, and now he's like cleaning it up with a Q-tip with acetone on it.
Dry Q-tips.
Oh, it's a dry Q-tip.
Actually, he told me that one of the best techniques is just to apply the solder paste directly using a Q-tip.
Yeah.
You won't get too much. The spatula is a higher level technique, which
Okay.
you easily run the risk of having too much solder paste on. The Q-tip applies just enough, but it's kind of a beginner technique.
What's the temperature and flow?
Okay, now he's melting the balls at 315% flow.
Can you ask him, does it matter which side of the stencil he puts down?
那个直吸网的那个方向有关跟那个关系吗？可以用另外一边吗？
这个是绝对不能用另外一边的。
No, you have to use the right side.
You have to use the right side.
这个是有方向的。
It's about a centimeter and a half from the board.
One with the labels, I guess. You wouldn't have the labels on the underneath. No, you wouldn't do that.
你怎么知道哪一边是正面，哪一边是反面呢？
你上反的孔对不住啊，
Oh,
它的拐弯不一样。
okay. So because if you use the wrong side, the chips pattern's different. So that's how you can tell. Yeah.
But if it's not.
You know, he's
Look at the stencil, you can tell.
using the sharp point of the tweezers to push the chip through out of the stencil.
Oh my god.
Wow.
You guys want to have a look?
Down in front, down.
Okay.
Exactly.
He says as there aren't any other components around the chip, it's more difficult to locate it on the grid array.
iPhone 手机的装配主要就是工艺。
Okay. iPhone PCBs really test your skills. Test
iPhone PCBs really test your skills. Difficult board to work on.
Screen?
Oh, sorry.
这个装 IC 的时候，风量一般是3到4档。
30% and 40%.
Okay, yeah, he turned the flow back up to 35%. So he said somewhere between 30 and 40%.
装苹果的 IC 300度够用，就不要再往上加温度了。
Okay, usually use 300%, 300 temperature for iPhone is
Okay. 300 at 30% is the temperature for iPhone PCBs. It's like baking a cake.
温度到位以后，IC 会自动归位的。
Okay, when the temperature is right, the chip will just find its place.
When the temperature's right, the chip just finds its place.
大家注意看，我现在点一下，
He's poking on the top of it.
Okay, he's poking at it, trying to get it to shake into its footprint.
Okay?
OK，
Okay. And there is the power BGA.
Yeah, he's going to inspect it.
然后看一下吗？测试一下。No, it's all lined up.
How to?
对了哈。
可以了。
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's happy. It's on. Okay.
这是我这里说啊，如果你们想买基板的话，
If you want to buy this board,
要买上面镀锡的板。
try to buy the ones already have soldered on it. So, nothing against money.
这种板很有可能是有问题。
He said most of these boards probably are damaged already. They're not good. Yeah,
没有通过测试，
because these are not tested.
所以它就不上锡了。
So it's really hard to solder.
Where do they come from?
那这是 this.
Yeah.
那这是哪里来的呢？
这个板是刚刚出来第一道，
第一道
测试完了之后就出来了。
测试完，那之前没有测试应该。
主板出来之后先测试，然后再镀锡。
Okay, so this was one of the very basic, the first time that they had this board, and they were supposed to be soldered on, but then just kind of like put them out and start selling.
镀完锡之后再次测试。
They're supposed to produce this, and then test it, and then put solder on, and test it again, and then sell. This is kind of like too new, so they probably, I don't know. Yeah, that's what he's saying.
So these are official rules.
然后上， 然后上面贴上小料，还要继续测试。
Okay, so after you, the people put the components on, you still need to keep testing it. That's what he's saying. That, I guess everybody knows. So 大家都知道。
3次测试之后，才是到了我们这个装板的时候。
对，大家都知道。
所以说你买这个基板有风险。
So it's risky if you actually want to use it. So.
I think
Build
he's
your own
assuming
iPhone.
that you want to build your phone from scratch.
所以如果你想要自己设置自己的手机的话，就是买这样的东西，对不对？然后自己慢慢测试，然后一点点。
这如果是单片的话，没有人干这个事儿。
No one does it, is what he said.
It says nobody does that.
Nobody does this.
Is it a real Apple PCB? Is it really from
这是
Apple?
真的吗？
这是真的，
It's real. They're
It
real.
says it's real.
They're real.
这是
Yeah.
真正的5代。
It's real, but he's just saying that not many people sell it just like this. That's what he's trying to say. Yeah.
贴这个版的人，能贴这个版的人啊，是工厂里的第一位，是在公司里头是做技术的第一位，他先试贴成功了，然后才能批量。
Okay, what they're doing is that these are basically purchased by the head of the factory technical team. So he get this and go home and he put the components on and everything else and test and everything else on, and then he gave it to the produce line and said, here's the board, make this. That's why they're selling this in the market. That's what he's saying. Yeah.
Like pre-production samples? Is that what that means?
这个主板一般是修手机的人作为测量线路用的。
This is for also schools buy this for testing, to teaching students how to test the phones. And so.
Oh.
My request is if you could show how he can debug a phone.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Based on that box.
Yeah. 你可以用那个电流表来
可以
检查手机。Okay. You should get the tools. The signal testing.
然后就是待机守候。
待机时候 And then just turn off the phone, and then we will test each part.
这是粗放的分一下来
Okay.
的。
So that's the procedures.
So he's hooking a meter up to the battery.
这电流刚刚起始，停一下的时候是复位，
Okay.
在这停一下，
好的。
接着往上运行开机程序，
好的。So when it's now it's open. He just
再
turn
往
the phone
上
on,
搜网，
and yeah, there's different. The system with the currents increasing, it represents different operations. First of all, system's fine, so it moved. The second one is the signal's working, so it goes up even more, and then it goes up even more. It's for the signals. So the three of them are fine. They're okay. So they diagnose the problem. They diagnose that there's no problem with those
Okay.
stuff. Yeah.
How about like does he check like if it can call okay and everything? Or
那打电话之类的那些呢？
打电话就是要插卡发射，也是射频电路工作。
Okay. It's the same procedure.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
那怎么做呢？像现在也是吗？
现在也是这样，装一张 SIM 卡。
先
要不装 SIM 卡，我们可以打
We
112
need a
试一下。
SIM card if we need to
我们可以
test
打一下
it.
112试一下。
We can dial 112 999. Yeah.
So
whatever.
actually, what can you ask him? What are the VU meters that they sell at Brother Tools with
Yeah.
the alligator clips? Is it for the same thing?
那个电流板在那个手机市场里面看到那些电流板没有那个卡纸装着的，那些也是用这个测试的吗？
卡尺装置。
对，那些小盒子有个电流表的那些。
它就是一个电池，
There's a battery in it.
然后串了一个电流表。
And a current in the middle.
Oh,
Yeah,
就是
it's
这么
really
一个
simple.
It's same thing.
可以用这个测试吗？可以用他们的东西测试这个？
可以粗测。
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
可以
yeah.
粗测
Same thing, yeah. You can test it.
So it's internal battery for a power supply and then a VU meter.
就是这个。
好的。
Hey,
So
Jim,
if you want to test the calling and stuff, we might need a SIM card.
Oh no, it's okay.
No, it's
I
okay?
just wanted to-
Okay.
I have an extra SIM card in my backpack.
Gene,
Yes.
can you have him just put the wire, the clips, and the phone under the camera
Yeah,
so
sure.
we can
你就把手机这样子在那个屏幕下面给他们展示一下。你这个也可以用。
Oh,
对
okay.
对。
Just on the battery
这个没有
clips.
这个把这个都拿。
This is the key thing.
But the analog meter is key because it has good
Yeah.
response time.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
digital meters suck.
关机了，电流表就没有了。
So it's on 0 now. So he's
这
turning on the phone
复
now.
位，
You see, it's
运行
moving.
开机程序。
So switch is okay, and the whole system seems fine. So it's now
紧
moving
接着
even more,
就是搜网，
and now it's a signal. Signal is moving as well, so that means the signal is good, no problem.
So you get to know the sort of
Yeah, by
current consumption on boot up with all
yeah,
different phones.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The
That's
whole
cool.
setup, yes. They have like 3 books just for the school, and we try to get the books, but they're like they don't sell them, and they say if you want them, just go on Baidu and download it.
So they have like the different tables of what the numbers.
Yeah, they have a lot of diagram and tables. You need to memorize. It's really complicated.
Can you set up the
检修手机是我们这儿的重要课程。
So testing the phone, Diagnose is one of the very important courses in this school.
How long is that course?
那这个检测这个信号还有手机维修，这个系统大概需要多长时间呢？
理论学习是将近1个月。
1个月。
理论学习。
Just the theories about 1 month. Yeah. No, it doesn't include the practical.
实测了就因人而异。
Yeah, it depends.
实测动手。有些快的人可能1个星期、半个月，慢的话呢，可能也得1个月。
Okay.
还有更慢的人可能2个月。
Okay. He's saying smart people can finish it in 1 week, and not so smart people can finish it in 2 months.
Okay, he's going to do one more demo before we're done. Sorry. Buddy has some new QFN chips to go on the Virgin board. So it's not a situation where it already has solder underneath, so it's not just pull it off, put it back on. He's going to have to build up some solder underneath the chip and...
With the heatsink flag, at the bottom.
Yeah, I assume. Is it? But Buddy, do you know what chip it is? Does the chip have a heatsink pad in the middle? Okay. Okay.
这个方向我不记得喽。
方向。什么意思？
还有这个型号。
Do you know the model, the number of this chip?
What the name of that chip? No, does he?
He doesn't know either. He doesn't know the direction.
Oh, he doesn't know what the chip is or what direction it's supposed to go.
He knows where it goes in the board, though, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It's fine. Doesn't matter what direction it goes. The problem is the Apple boards never have the same screen because they think so.
那就方向不了，随便挑。
So he's going to do it regardless of the wrong direction.
Okay, he's just going to attach it however.
But surely the only people who are looking inside are downstairs. Bodes well for the next generation of engineers.
因为这个基板太凉了，在滑吸之前先把它预热一下。
要预热很久吗？
只要吸能挂得上去就 OK。
So he's preheating the board. What else?
要不然挂吸挂不动。
You're just saying that this is a very brand new board. You need to make sure you heat it well enough.
Okay, again, he preheated the board with hot air, and now he's going to build up layers with the solder and a soldering iron. And something about it being a new board, so it's important to heat it up a lot.
中间是到最后再弄，绝对不能弄高。
绝对不能，一定要弄四周围对吧？
四周围。
Do the edges first.
Yeah. Okay, do the edges first.
为什么一定要先做四周？
因为中间做高了之后 ，IC 到时候装不平。
Okay, because if you do it in the middle first, then if you make the chip taller, then it won't stand, it won't fit.
Okay, so he's going to build up layers. He's going to put 2 layers on the outside pads and 1 layer in the middle. That way the middle doesn't get taller and do that thing all of our QFN chips do.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And that's done. That's solder on it.
We make not work.
Okay.
好，下一步。
你看，我们这个中间，它这不是有残隙吗？
Okay, there is a
不管它。
Okay, there is excessive solder there, but just leave it.
A bit of flux with the tweezers on the chip. Not that I've seen. Did he put flux on the board?
No.
Okay. And he's tinning the pads of the chip.
The edges.
Just the edges. No, no. In the middle?
Just the edges.
Oh. Was that a ball joke?
Very
It was
close.
not a ball.
Very close. Very close.
A little north of the balls.
No, any solder related joke.
That was an analogy joke.
Take the middle.
He got a little bit of solder on the middle pads, and he cleaned up the tip of the iron, and he's trying to clean it off. He's using the iron the same way he uses the flat hobby knife to clean up the BGA chips. He's like scooting the solder across it.
So he's tinning the pads on the chip too?
I don't think he's trying to. Is he trying to tin the pads? Is he trying to get solder on the pads? The middle pad?
在干嘛？现在
中间的锡多了，要把它拖走。
He's taking away.
Yeah, he got it on there by accident, and now he's trying to clean it up.
He's cleaning the outside pads, but
Not the thermal pad.
he's still trying to clean it up.
So he doesn't want solder on any of the pads on the chip? Neither the thermal ones
He
nor
will,
the signal
he will
ones?
put it on in the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's like, heat the board, tin the pads on the board or on like the signal pads, but then just put a little bit of solder on the thermal read pad, not very much.
Yeah.
And then the chip itself's pads should be completely clean.
Yeah.
And then
he's going to put something in the middle right before.
It's still 335%.
I'll show you.
He tipped around some pads on the kit.
but we're not, that's what I was asking about because
He's heating it.
He's trying to.
He's heating up the board and using the tweezers to pluck off excess bits of solder from the pads.
Okay. I just know that it is excess.
Okay. So the middle has solder, but just a little bit. So the middle has solder, but just a tiny bit.
Very, very thin.
Yeah, very thin layer of solder in the middle, but on the chip, but not on the footprint, right? Yeah, but just like a coating. Yeah. He did it before he started putting the solder on the chip, but no more. Now he's just heating it and tapping it like everything else.
What you think about it makes sense, right?
Is he left-handed or right-handed?
He says he can do it with both.
Both hands, depending on.
Oh, and basically
Depending on the arrangement.
the
Yeah.
center essentially only pulls it down.
He's pushed down on all four corners. He went around the chip and tapped on all four corners. Nope, not at all.
I think for QFN, he's like, he's fine.
It's QFN.
I don't know why they
It's good.
It's good.
Hey.
要清理平整
看看是这个
，PCB 板
PCB board has to be very, very clean. First of all, yes.
中间部分尽量越少越好。
When you're doing this QFN, the middle pad, try not to put too much solder on it. The thinner, the better. The much thinner, the much better.
但是也不能搞得一点儿都没有也不行，
But you have to leave something there after all. Yeah.
因为接地了，一个是负极，还有一个更重要的作用是散热。
It's really good for releasing the heat, for absorbing cold.
The middle, yeah, the middle.
Yeah, the middle part, yes.
这个大家应该都知道
Yeah, all engineers 他们知道。
啊。所以呢，然后我们的 IC 上面也是按照这个方法。
For the other chips, we do the same thing as well. The other chips.
然后就是很简单了。
And then it's really simple.
How long does it take to fix all the chips?
Everything by hand,
Yeah.
the whole board. 那么如果你用 只用手工的话，一个板要花多少时间？如果是正常人的话
正常人的话，一天，合格的维修人员，
？Okay.
像 iPhone 4可以贴4张。
Okay. The people who work in iPhone factories, they can do 4 boards a day. But the kids in Hongkong, they probably do 1 board a day.
Possible. Can we get anyone to line up?
新手的话呢，一个星期还做不出来一张。
For beginners, it's really, really difficult, and probably a week. Yeah. Just to get everything.
最高峰的人，最高纪录的人，一天是可以贴28张板。
Some people can do, the top students can do 28 boards a day. Yeah, 28 boards.
因为贴板的过程当中还要维修。
Because while you are putting components on, it's not just about that. It's also about testing as well. Lots of testing. Yeah.
要是主板完好 ，IC 完好，那就是出货量快。
If the board's good, the chips are good, then you can sell better stuff and more stuff. Yeah.
Oh, what order do they assemble the subsystems and test them in? Like, what's the how do you start and then when do you test and what do you what's the kind of?
那你一般测试流程是什么？是从什么样的东西到什么样的，再到什么样的东西？The thing that you don't need to operate when phone is off. Those are the things that to be tested first.
第二类就是可以开机，但是不能打电话。
And the second one, the second thing that they test is that after phones switch on, anything but the signal, the calling. That's basically the reader thing. That's how it works. First of all, when the phone is off, when you just turn it on, the whole system is fine. So it moved. And the second one,
像这就要检修射频电路。
the signal and then calling.
Yeah, the baseband, the radio.
The radio, yeah.
Radio.
The radio.
这2大系统之外的，通通把它划为界面电路。
界面是就是
人机接口。
Okay, so the other stuff just things that you can touch on the board.
比方说
Big one.
没有显示。
没有显示。
无铃声。
Ringtones, microphones and sound system, etc. Speaker.
So anything you can get a test point.
按键电路。
And the keyboard connections and everything.
充电电路。
Power. That's the third thing that they would test.
这通通属于第3类。
Yeah.
所以手机呢，就是分3大部分检修，这3大部分。
That's the 3 procedures. 3 testing.
Very good.
大范围划分了以后，再就是局部的到。
There are many other specific further testings in each procedure, so it goes a long way.
然后再到了细节，就是这样。
That's it.
That's very good.